Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for coming. Corey here, and today we're going to do another episode of the utopian zero waste future that I would love to see for the planet. So I thought we would start with, well, mostly this video is going to be about construction. So think of the construction industry, right? Think of building a house or building a business or an office, whatever. So we think of the concrete, the electrical, oh my goodness, I can't say that. Electrical? No. How do you say that? Think of the electricity needed. Think of the wiring, the plumbing, the floors, the ceilings, you name it. The windows, the chimneys, whatever they're using. Think of everything that goes into the construction industry, especially steel and concrete. So I thought, okay, what about if new buildings were not allowed to be built until they used old ones? So I don't know what happens or what it looks like where you live, but some places near me, there's buildings that are empty, right? So let's say you have like a strip mall, right? So you have like a grocery store and a clothing store and maybe a movie theater, but next to it there's an empty building, but next to that there's like a dollar store. So there are empty buildings, right? There's nothing wrong with the buildings, they're fine, but nobody's like renting them or using them. So I would love to see some kind of a law or something go into effect that you're not allowed to build a new building until you use an empty building, right? Unless of course there's something wrong with the building. But you have to use old buildings first before building another one, okay? And then let's see, what else did I write? I have a list here because there's a lot of points to make, and I wanted to say new buildings from old buildings before they take down the old building. So can they be renovated, these old buildings? Can they be made new again, right? So before building new, you have to use empty ones or older ones that you can fix up. Now, I don't know about your area, but what's been happening around here is ever since the panini started, what happened is people wanted to leave the cities, okay? So I live in Quebec, Canada, Zone 5, by the way, and the biggest town is Montreal. So everybody wanted to leave Montreal when the panini happened, and they wanted to come to the South Shore, which is where I live. I live on the South Shore of Montreal. It's about 15 to 20 minutes by car over the bridge. It's not far, and there's buses and metros and good public transportation to get to and from the city. It just takes longer. It takes about an hour to get into the city, you know, depends on where you're going in the city. Sometimes it could take about, yeah, half an hour or whatever, but it's like 15 minutes by car. So anyways, the whole point of the story is people were coming and leaving the city, and they were coming to the South Shore and other smaller suburbs, and they were buying up all the buildings, right? So the real estate industry has gone ridiculous. Like, it's so expensive. Oh my goodness, like nobody can afford to like live. So, but the people from the city were buying up the buildings, right, and moving here. Or what was happening was there was companies, like construction companies, buying up buildings, right? So they would buy anything. They would buy old buildings or new buildings or brand new houses, and they would go to people's house and they would offer you cash. Like, they would literally knock on your door and offer you, hey, I'll give you $500,000, you know, or $250,000 for your house, cash right now. And older people who didn't want their house anymore took it. People who had houses that weren't that great, that didn't want to be renovated, took it. People who just wanted to get rid of their house or whatever, or they saw the money, they jumped on it and they sold their stuff. So these businesses came in, bought all the stuff, and they tore down perfectly good buildings, right? They tore down houses that were just renovated like a month before by the owners, but because they saw the dollar signs opportunity, so they just sold to them. And this has been happening so much that they call, like personally, from personal experience, they call your house nonstop to buy your place. They send you letters in the mail to buy your stuff. They showed up at our door to buy our building repeatedly, like 50 times. And it got so bad because they were tearing down these places and they were constructing brand new apartments, right? They weren't putting up houses, they were putting up apartments. So you'd have like a duplex, like, you know, like my place is a duplex. You have an apartment on the bottom, you have an apartment on the top. Or they would put up triplexes where there's 3 of them. Or they would put up like those megaplexes where you see like 24 like all stuck together, and there's no parking. There's hardly any parking. There's no backyards, there's no front yards, there's no side yards, there's like nothing. So the town got involved actually after I think about 1.5 years of seeing so many being torn down and gone up, because the citizens of the town were fed up seeing buildings torn down for no reason. And me personally, we were so fed up of the phone calls and like the harassment to try and sell our house all the time, right? That we're like, come on, it's got to stop, you know? So the city stepped in and said they prevented these construction companies from coming in to buy up the houses again, unless it's an empty building that was condemned, because there was some in my area that was actually condemned, you know? So they did tear those down and build new, which I understand because that's condemned. They're in really horrible condition, so they can't. So the whole point of this whole long story is, in the utopian future that I would love to see, like I mentioned, no new buildings going up until they use the old buildings or renovate the buildings. And not only that, let's say they have to build a new building. Okay, so you have to build a new building. When you tear down a building and you have all that concrete and, you know, gravel or whatever they do, there's actually a company that's doing this now that can take all the pieces from the house and they put it through like a eater machine, a machine that crumbles it up into small pieces, right? And they retake these small debris pieces of the house. And I'm not talking like wood or nothing. I'm talking like bricks and concrete and foundations, okay? And they put it in, they make it into like a dust or like pebbles, little rocks, and they retake that stuff and they pour it into new concrete. So it's kind of like recycling plastic, where you have virgin new plastic mixed with old plastic. So they're taking the old concrete and mixing it with new concrete. So instead of using 100% new concrete, they can use maybe 50% new and 50% old. But I want that a law. I want that made into some kind of law or rule that says, okay, if you want to build new, you have to build it from the building pieces or scraps that you've taken down. Furthermore, also, when you have to build a new building, I wanted a law that you must have green spaces. You must have a backyard or a side yard or a front yard. And I don't mean just grass. Forget about just putting everything grass, because grass does nothing for the ecosystem. Grass is better than concrete, yes, don't get me wrong. But I don't want just grass. Grass is boring. I want people, or the construction companies, they have to put in perennials. So I'm talking perennial bushes that comes back. I'm talking about food, raspberries, blueberries, blackberries, some kind of bush that produces fruit. And they also put in like a little law already in my town that says any new building being put up has to have like a certain amount of trees. You have to have like 1 tree per space or 2 trees per space, depending on how big it is. So they've actually recently started doing that in the last year in my town, and they're not just putting in one type of tree. They're not going and putting like all pine trees. So they're putting oak trees and maple trees and ginkgo trees and like these weird ferny things, I don't even know what they're called, and white pines and birches. So they're putting like a whole array of things, right? Which I think is fantastic. It's great. It's making the whole place greener instead of having hot concrete, because concrete and asphalt and roads and sidewalks, the heat generated is just horrible. So the more green you can put, the better. But I want it to be a law where they have to put in fruit trees. Plant an apple tree, plant a pear tree, put a plum tree in. In Zone 5, Quebec, Canada, those fruit trees will survive, right? You don't have to spray. People do spray, but you don't have to have fruit or whatever. So I think they have to have a green space put in when you build a new building. And not only that, I want them to put in, instead of doing a regular roof, right, black roof, which attracts the heat and makes your place hotter, I want them to put in like a solar powered roof, okay? And the solar power would obviously run the appliances or whatever is needed for that building. So if you have to build new, you have to build it green, right? That way, every future building going up, it's going to have some kind of green tech on it. Solar, I want everyone to have water catchment. They could put in gutters and tubes that go down to barrels, or like huge, I don't know, 100 or 500 gallon water catchment systems. They have to put in a garden or raised beds of some kind of food growing system that obviously the rain catchment water could feed this garden system. So I want to see every building made green, right? Furthermore, they actually do this already in Quebec, Canada, a little bit with the government, your local provincial government and your Canadian government. If you change like certain things, let's say you change your light bulbs to LEDs, okay? When you go to the store to buy these LED light bulbs, there's actually they come with like a little ticket or a little thing that says something about your taxes or something about the green thing, or so you can actually fill it out and then you prove to the government that you've changed your light bulbs to LEDs, or you've upgraded your hot water tank to a new eco hot water tank or something. If you're doing some kind of green energy efficient appliances or renovations to your house, you can actually get money back from the government. We did that when renovating our place, because where we live, it was built in like 1924 about. There's contradicting information on paperwork we have for the year, but we completely renovated the place and we received stuff from the government, incentives for greenifying your place. So I just want that a law, you know what I mean, not hard. And if we continue, now let's say the building or the house or the office building, especially office buildings and businesses, you have to furnish them, right? You need, computer desks and chairs and tables and conference tables, and you know what? You need computer monitors and tech to run the business, whatever. And I'm talking even down to like a thumbtack, okay? It should be furnished with secondhand items. So instead of buying new, they should promote furnishing it with secondhand items, even artwork on the wall. Oh my goodness. I've been volunteering at a secondhand store that's run out of a church for a long time now, and the amount of like furniture and like tech stuff and computer monitors and like office supplies, like even paper clips and stuff we get, it's insane. You wouldn't believe how much of this stuff is donated that we could sell for super cheap, like 25 cents, 50 cents. So you can furnish like an entire office building or a business, even your home, secondhand, and it wouldn't cost you like nothing almost. And I also want new buildings, if they have to build new or renovate old, I would love to see it being off-grid as much as possible. So we talked about solar, we talked about rainwater catchment. I think you have a right to be off-grid. I don't think everybody has to have a right, like we shouldn't be forced to have to be with the electric company, right? I think we should have the option to go off-grid. And I would love to see like recycling, recycling and composting be integrated into the building. So any future office space or business space, it has to be a requirement that they recycle and compost. Because in our area, for example, we have the brown bin, it's called. So you put all your food scraps, meat, chicken, like even if it's cooked or not cooked, fruits, vegetables, anything in that bin, and they'll take it. But they don't offer it for businesses. So if you have like a literal restaurant, so let's say you're building a whole new building for a restaurant, right? Well, that restaurant doesn't have access to the brown bin to compost. because it's considered industrial. It's not considered residential, right? So any new building being put in should be composting. There should be a compost in the backyard of every building and every house, even every apartment, done. You know, I think it should be automatic. It's the same thing with recycling and proper garbage pickup. Everybody should have access, regardless if it's a business, a hospital, a school, or my house, your house, anything. And I think what people should do is, you know, you should be allowed to have a fire pit in your backyard if you want. During the panini, they stopped allowing fire pits or fireplaces outside in my area. Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. And, you know, they banned it, and you're not even allowed to have like your own fire pit. Like, why not? You know? So it's really silly, because if you have trees, so for example, I have trees in my backyard. So if a building has trees, or a new building, they're going to put trees in, or bushes, and like tree limbs break in the wind or whatever. So you're supposed to, the regulations or the rules of the town for throwing out green waste, you're supposed to like cut your sticks like to this long, to like no more than like 1.5 feet long, and you're supposed to bundle them all up, and they're supposed to come pick them up, right? But if everybody had a fire pit or whatever, or a fireplace, or just a barbecue or whatever you're going to use, you could burn your own leaves, right? Or your own sticks, instead of throwing them into the landfill. It would be so much better, you know? Plus, if you're going to cook your food anyways on a grill outside like a barbecue, why can't you just make it out of sticks? I don't see the problem. But anyways, I digress. So, it's all about the construction industry today. If you think I missed anything, let me know. Or if you have any other ideas, right? Because I don't know how many times I've seen like people throwing out windows in the garbage. And I'm thinking like, wow, that's a good window. I'm like, should I take that window? What do I need a window for? I don't need a window for anything. But there's like lots of windows, you know? Like if you go on Craigslist or Kijiji or Facebook Marketplace and you type in like, I'm not joking, like if you type in stairs or metal stairs or iron stairs or windows or plumbing, any kind of copper plumbing or whatever it is they're using now, PEX, I believe it is plastic. But you can get so much stuff secondhand. And I just think that the construction industry uses so many resources to make new concrete and new steel, new electrical, new wires, new plumbing, you know, that they could cut down everything probably in less than half, just if they started recycling old buildings. So that is the episode today. That's our Saturday. And let me know what you think, because I think it would be pretty cool to, you know, if they offered new buildings and it'd be like, yeah, this has solar and this has water catchment and you can compost, and, you know, that'd be like really cool. I think that would be like an incentive, you know, for people to live a little greener. If like you walked into an apartment and you had to buy an apartment anyways, or you had to rent one to live, we all have to live somewhere, right? So if you walked into like an apartment, like this is a green apartment, and then it was like really super green, and it was like, wow, that'd be cool. I don't know. So that's my utopian series. I'm a dreamer. I like to dream. Dreams are free. So I will see you next Saturday for another episode. Bye, guys.